Institutions are under attack. What do we do?
Stand up, fight back!
Teachers are under attack. What do we do? When students and teachers are under attack, what do we do? When students and teachers are under attack, what do we do? When students and teachers are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back!
My name's Alex Caputo-Pearl. I'm the UTLA president, and we are here because we've reached an important juncture in our Schools LA Students Deserve campaign. We recognize that Eli Broad has made an important contribution to the arts scene here in LA by opening this museum. We recognize that as an important contribution. But we also recognize that Eli Broad has also unveiled something else within the last month, and that is a plan to dismantle public education in Los Angeles. We have come here today with a broad coalition to oppose Broad's plan to dismantle public education. What he has said is that he will put, along with the Walmart Foundation and the Keck Foundation, which comes out of big oil, he has said that they will put close to $1 billion thank you, to take close to 50% of our students into unregulated schools. This is not acceptable. Deregulation has not worked in our economy. It has not worked in healthcare. It has not worked in housing. It is not going to work in public education. Deregulation leaves people behind. It creates inappropriate competition in public education, and it creates a race to the bottom in learning conditions and working conditions. It is unacceptable. How do we know this? We know this because Eli Broad and one of his billionaire friends, John Arnold. And by the way, John Arnold comes out of the Enron Corporation that you remember from a few years back. Eli Broad and John Arnold funded the same kind of effort that they're talking about here. They funded it in New Orleans, and we have seen massive civil rights violations for students. For example, there was a study done earlier this year that showed that at least 1/3 of unregulated charter schools in New Orleans do not accept all students. They cherry pick students. That is not acceptable in public education. Another study that was done in 2015 in New Orleans says that when students with disabilities were suspended at a rate 100% higher than other students, they needed to go to court and get a consent decree to say that they should stop those civil rights violations. Deregulation doesn't work in education. In 2014, the Advancement Project and other civil rights organizations filed with the federal government a civil rights complaint saying that school closures that came about because of Eli Broad and John Arnold, that those school closures disproportionately impacted the black community, that no longer would have a neighborhood school that takes all students and encourages all parents to be involved. This is unacceptable. All of these things fly in the face of what we call public school accountability, which is the basic idea that if you accept public money, whether you are a district school or a charter school, then you have to serve the entire public. How do we see deregulation working here in Los Angeles? Frank Baxter is another billionaire friend of Eli Broad's. He was at the parties the other night here at the Broad Museum. Frank Baxter is also the co-chair of the Alliance board, of the Alliance Charter School board. They as educators have been organizing for their voice to have a union. Alliance and Frank Baxter have violated Public Employee Relations Board law. They refuse to show up to a legal settlement hearing, and if you're a parent or a teacher concerned about that, you only have 4 opportunities each year to go to a 15-minute board meeting to say that you have problems with it. That is unacceptable. How do we see deregulation affecting schools across the country? In 2013, the federal government, the General Accounting Organization, the GAO, of the Government Accountability Operation that works with the federal government, they could not measure whether charter schools, unregulated charter schools, were serving English language learner populations because over 1/3 of charter schools refused to put forward data on how many English language learner students they serve. That's unacceptable. All of this leads to another really simple reason that we're here, and that is that billionaires should not be running public education. The last time that Eli Broad tried to make an intervention with LAUSD, he gave us John Daisy as superintendent. John Daisy left us with an FBI investigation and hundreds of millions of dollars of wasted money on technology fiascos. Unacceptable. Eli Broad, another reason billionaires shouldn't be running public education. Eli Broad, the billionaire, willing to put his own money into this museum, which again is a contribution to the arts scene. But he put his own money into opposing Proposition 30, which was a measure that stopped us from cycles of program cuts and layoffs and brought arts into the classroom. Shame on Eli Broad for putting his own money. Shame on Eli Broad for putting his own money into stopping public education funding for the arts, but putting his own money into his private agenda for public education. Shame on Eli Broad. I'll end with 2 things, and I'm going to give it to some of the most important people here, parents, students, and teachers who are going to talk to you. I'll end with 2 things. I have challenged Eli Broad to a public debate about the future of education. I have challenged him to a debate on the future of public education in Los Angeles. He has yet to respond. Eli Broad, let's talk about this in the public. You gave us no option but to come here today when a billionaire in their own house, in their own private office, tries to run a public system, and there's no school board to go to, no city hall to go to. We had no choice but to come here, your private event. The second thing, the last thing that I'll end with, is that we are calling on all elected officials in Los Angeles. We are calling on all elected officials in Los Angeles to oppose Broad's plan and stand for the schools LA students deserve.